Hello and welcome to Ep.2 of Glitch Mode Radio Podcast. I am your host, Sam Seed, and I've got with me tonight one of my favorite producers, SupaUgly. How are you doing today, brother?
Yay! Applause. I'm good. It's Sunday evening, so yeah, the weekend is over. New week, um, full of possibilities. So let's hope it's gonna be a good week.
Yeah, great. So before we get into the questions, I'd like to know, and I'm sure the audience would like to know a little more about yourself. So one of the first things I had never really known about you is where did your moniker come from, SupaUgly?
It's it's a little bit. It's always a little bit personal and stuff like that. It's How do I say that? Let's say that I'm not the most confident person in the world.
Okay.
And one day I was looking for, searching for like a nickname, and I said to myself, okay, um, most of the time you find yourself ugly because you don't have a lot of confidence in yourself,
Mm.
and and what and I'm a Marvel comics fan. So I like Superman and like super villains.
Right.
And I said to myself, hey, super ugly will be like a nice super villain name for a comic book. Not as classy as Doctor Doom or Thanos or Galactus, but I said to myself, yeah, well, not that will be cool, and that kind of match with the feeling how I felt that day. So, and I don't know, I just kept it because I think that sometimes I feel super, sometimes I feel ugly. So, that's life.
Yeah, I think we can all agree with that for sure. Like you have your ups and downs. So yeah, I get it. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
I always thought it was just because you're pretty ugly with it on the beats and in production, and it kind of like melds the style with your production and everything. So
Yeah, well, yeah. Some people say that because they don't know my secret, but now you know, and the world is going to know. So
got it.
yeah.
Okay, so what would you say is one of the underrated production techniques or workflow hacks that's made a big difference in your music?
Um, there are several techniques. I mean, like music, and especially like digital music nowadays with computers and a digital audio workstation. There are like so many techniques to make music. But I think that because I'm very interested into music theory, and I'm like self learning, music theory. I didn't go to like any music academy or things like that.
Mm.
I did a little. I had like a few lessons of drums when I was a kid, but that's it. So I'm learning music theory, and basically one of the technique that I like the most is because I really love chords, and in most of my creations, you can hear it. There's like a lot of chords progressions,
Yeah.
and then one of the technique, because at the very beginning, when you start to make music, you want to sound professional, but you sound weak, and weak in the meaning as like the sound that you listen to are like it sounds thick, there's like heavy bass, and you have like all these layers, and the sound and that's a good production. But when you start, you start very simple, and it doesn't sound. It sounds a little bit too thin. The
Mm,
sound is not that great, and it sounds amateurish. So um, one of the things that really helped me to progress was the layering system. When you start a chord, like a piano has a certain type of frequency. Um, so you have to play the bass. You can play the bass on the left hand, and on the right you play the high notes on the right. But uh, what I like to do is like put some pads underneath.
hmm,
Maybe sometimes I put like a little bit arpeggio with the same chord progression uh, on the top. So it gives you like a full range of the same melody, basically, but it's like used differently with different frequencies that makes the sound like thick. So it sounds more, yeah, more professional.
yeah.
So that's basically one of the technique that made me make a jump in a music production. And then after, there's like lots of techniques about mixing and mastering, but that's more like audio engineering stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get it. It's the layering of those sounds to kind of like widen and thicken up those pads and the chords and stuff, cuz typically when you're mixing it together, depending on the sounds that you're starting with, it can sound a little thinner. So yeah, that's definitely a nice little trick to be able to make your production sound a little more interesting and warm.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. It makes a difference because I think that's the problem with all beginners. You always sound a little bit like whack because you don't have all these techniques, the layering stuff and all the melodies and even like when you build a song, the structure of the song is really important. So you need to listen to a lot of tracks and understand that a song always has an intro, verse, chorus, and there's like some kind of a structure because a song or even like a piece of music is like a journey. So there's always like a departure and arrival. And
Right.
um
Yeah.
and you go through, you just travel in time into those all these melodies and all these notes and yeah, it's a fantastic voyage. I don't remember which band created that song,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's mainly what is a music,
Yeah.
a song, a track.
It's like a storytelling, but
Yeah.
through sound. Um, well, what do you have like? What music genre, an artist or artists have been a big inspiration for the type of music that you make?
Um, I think as I think like anybody, when you grow up, sometimes you change of style or you discover new styles. And so basically I was like really like like top 50 pop stuff until I discovered Prince
Mm,
around, I would say, when was that? I was like 13, 13 years old.
okay.
I discovered Prince, became a huge fan. Um, I like Michael Jackson too, but I was like Prince was my favorite because he was crazier in his musicality. He really had a different style. I was really into Prince, a little bit R&B, Stevie Wonder, James Brown, soul, funk. And then I met, yeah, I would say I met even though it's not a person, but I just bumped into hip hop in the late 80s, because yeah, I'm that old. So in 88, I was on summer vacation, and I met some guys who were break dancers,
Mm,
b-boys, and they had like like some kind of free party in the city where I was on vacation, and I don't know. I like the vibe, the fact that people were dancing, and it was like that kind of a ninja move, quite like gymnastic stuff, and it was like really impressive, especially because I was still young. I was probably like 15 or something like that. Um, and yeah, and I started to listen to I think that the first album that I bought was DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince. He's the DJ, I'm the rapper.
right. Okay.
With the awesome Freddy Krueger song. That was like funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, no, but that album really blew my mind. It was like, funky and really creative. And even though my English wasn't that good, I could understand a little bit, here and there. Um, and yeah, I really loved it. And then I made the jump to Public Enemy, which is totally different.
Right.
With It Takes the Nation a Million to Hold Us Back, I think. It's the one where he's in prison.
Mm,
Chuck D is in prison, and with Don't Believe the Hype. Um,
classics.
yeah, so yeah, it's totally two different style, but it's still hip hop, and yeah, I really love that, and yeah, and I still listen to hip hop since these days. So
Yeah, and you could totally hear that in your production style too. All those different influences on your music. So it's cool to get an idea of where all that came from.
yeah, it it's crazy because sometimes when you grow up and when you have a ear, because sometimes people, I try not to be stuck in my era. I mean, the 90s. The 90s was the biggest era for me because so many good albums, so many crazy, like R&B albums, hip hop, rap albums. It was the beginning of really the New Jack Swing was like blowing up.
Mm,
Um, New Jack Swing, which is like a perfect hybrid styles between hip hop and R&B. And when you have like people like Rex and Effect or Teddy Riley was producing oh, not Fat Joe, Heavy D. So he was producing rappers and singers. So I really love New Jack Swing. Uh, and in the year 2000, I discovered UK Garage, um, which is I would say more like into the well, garage is more like a funk disco house type of style music, but UK Garage is like a faster with a faster BPM.
mm,
And I really liked it because even though it's more house, it's not so much hip hop and all that. They still use sample. Um, they are the way that they sing is kind of close to R&B. They have like a funky bass line like disco or funk. Um, so yeah, so I started to listen to UK Garage. That is a pretty cool style if people don't know it. Um, it's well, as the name said, it went big in UK and it started really there.
right.
Um, so yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, no, I get it. It's very, very cool. All those different blends of music is what makes us who we are in the music side of things. I mean, myself, I started out when I was really listening, like listening to music. I started out with a lot of alternative music, Alice in
Mm,
Chains, Nirvana, Soundgarden, things like that. And then when I started playing guitar, then I started with that music, and then I got really heavy into blues and jazz, mainly with Stevie Ray Vaughan. When a friend of mine, he showed me a video of Stevie playing live, and I was like, "Where was this all my life?"
yeah,
It's
yeah,
just like,
yeah. No,
and
I
then
totally understand. I totally
yeah,
understand.
and
So you
so
were more like blues, rock and roll blues, grunge.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, okay.
and
That's the side of the music that I wasn't like too well. When I used to listen to like anything, like top 50 and all that. I mean, like of course I know, classics. But I wasn't too much interested because I was so focused into the hip hop culture, funk, soul, R&B, and I didn't have the time to listen to other genre, which is funny because now it's something that I do when I look for samples for my own creations.
mm,
You open your eyes and your ears to different stuff because you said to yourself, okay, let me try to be unique, to be different. Um, because there are like, I mean, like James Brown has been sampled so many times. I mean, like it's not even funny anymore.
yeah, yeah,
So yeah, if you can find like some kind of obscure sample from a Chinese band in the 70s and you're like, "Ooh, yeah, I can use that."
yeah,
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
yeah,
So that sample is I mean, sample to me is something that is great because it if you are someone who is curious about how music is made, back in the days with the CDs, we used to have a booklet with all the name of the musicians and all that. Like, oh, okay, that guy played the bass. Oh, I know that guy. You played the bass on a other album and all that, and you had the sample used. And I was curious to know how they use the samples to make the track. So I was I always find a way to listen to the original. So it made me discover like jazz artists, a lot of soul singers, and obscure funk band and even rock and stuff like that. So yeah, music is there's always like a link between even between genre, even if two genres are like very different, there's always one artist that find a way to link them together.
yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
that's what I love with UK Garage, because the first track that I heard that really made me like, ooh, I think I'm gonna like that genre, was like a track in UK Garage. So it's kind of house, but they were using a salsa sample.
okay,
So you could hear some, salsa at the beginning, and the way they flipped it with the rhythm and, house. And I was like, whoa, that you can do that? I was really shocked.
hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's cool. What is your current go to setup like as far as your DAW plugins, hardware, and why do you stick with it?
What I use, let me show you. Okay, so I have MPC Renaissance here.
Okay.
Well, I have a bunch of guitars and a bass. But I have a MPC Renaissance. That's my keyboard, my synth. It's a Ultranova by Innovation. And of course, I have a push because I use Ableton as a digital audio workstation. So it's what I use every day. I even bought a saxophone, but I can barely play it. So and it's quite difficult to because I live in a building, so it's quite difficult to rehearse and train myself with a saxophone
Yeah.
because it makes a lot of noise. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. My son, he just got a harmonica. And so we're kind of in that same boat where it's like when you're first learning how to play an instrument, it just sounds more like noise than anything.
Yeah.
And so it's like okay, I understand you want to learn how to play this thing, but like
Yeah.
do it in your room, maybe when we're not at home, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
But
uh
it's I mean like it's music is I think it can look like it's difficult to learn an instrument. And I'm not gonna say that it's easy, but it's super rewarding because once you know how to do one stuff where you go step by step, of course, you're not going to play some Charlie Parker if you start playing an instrument, but you go step by step, and the further you go, the I don't know, the happier you get because you're like, oh, I can do that now, and
mm,
and you progress, and it's super rewarding. It's
yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
definitely. If you had to produce a full track using only one piece of gear or software, what do you think it would be and why?
Um, well, I think that easily that will be well, Ableton with the push because it's a device that is like a multi-instrument.
Hmm.
You can play drums with it with the pads. You can play melodies, chords, and all that. If I had to get rid of all the stuff and keep just one, that would be that because it's the perfect companion to Ableton Live.
Mm, yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah, I love my push. It's so intuitive. Like I've used a lot of different gear. I've used the SP404 MK2. I had a MPC 2000 like several years ago, and nothing really compares to the ease of use and how well it integrates into the software, like Ableton's push. It's pretty impressive to me. I haven't gotten the third one yet, just because it's a little out of my price point at the moment. Even as the one that you have to use with your computer instead of the standalone. And I know
yeah,
you can upgrade it, but
yeah,
I mean, it's really nice to be able to have all that functionality, being able to play chords with it and not have to worry, about having to know all of that theory, because you just push a couple buttons and it'll set it in the key and scale that you
yeah,
want it, and you could just kind of play around with it, and it just makes things the workflow just so much easier, and it's inviting to people who are new into it, to make it that intuitive like that. So yeah, I would
yeah.
definitely agree. The push would probably be my choice as well, if I had to pick one specific instrument aside from like guitar or something.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, definitely. And with Ableton, you can make. I mean, like, okay, it's not the same to play the guitar with a VST and play the real instrument.
Right.
I mean, like technology is crazy these days. They create like plugins that really sounds good, but it's not. I mean, like it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. I think that real instrument that still have, are better. If you can put a real instrument, it's always better than if you fake it, with a VST.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. You're never going to get the same kind of tone out of a real
yeah,
instrument, that the articulations and the subtleties of a real instrument, because you're working it with your hands, and or whatever, your body, and instead of like just playing some keys and whatnot and using MIDI. But I mean, the technology nowadays has advanced so much that, like, especially with companies like East West Sounds, where it's like it's almost indistinguishable, like the tone, like you sound like you're actually in Carnegie Hall, like playing strings, or like it's pretty
yeah,
amazing how far everything's advanced.
yeah. The plugins are getting better and better. Um, I was looking at an ad for a pack. It's like strings, and it's for the Osmos keyboard. It's
Mm,
that keyboard that has keys that can go left to right too. So you
okay.
can play vibrato so you can press the key normally, and then you can tilt them. So
Mm,
it kind of gives like some kind of a vibrato effect. And the guy is, well, I know it's in advertising, so it always sounds good. It's different when you get the plugin at home and you try it.
right.
But it was really crazy. It was sounding like someone on the violin. I was like, whoa, this is getting crazy.
Yeah. 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 So speaking of crazy, AI tools are becoming more and more common in music production. I know you kind of turned me on to Suno, but
Yep.
how do you feel about their role in the creative process?
Um, I think it's like any new thing, it's like okay, maybe it's not a good example, but I think it's quite good. I mean, like it's like nuclear power. You can decide to make like free energy for people, electricity, or you can decide to make bombs.
Mm,
Um, so I think AI is the same. If you use it wisely and you're a little bit smart, it can be a good tool to help you to create. If you use it but you're kind of lazy and you don't add anything that is personal, if you don't add your DNA into those creation, then it will sound just dull because everybody can do it. If just typing prompts, I mean, like anybody can do it, even if you're not a musician. But I think that it's going to be it's going to be because it evolved a lot. Now Suno is version 4.5.
mm,
Um, and they added a lot of features that makes it quite handy for a musician. If you have, let's say because that's something that we have a lot as musician. It's like for like writers, it's the white page when you have no idea or you have like a beginning but you don't know where to go. And with Suno, what you can do is you can put a sample, so you can start with a chord progression.
mm,
And you're like, okay, I have no idea where I'm going, what I'm gonna do with that. I think it's great chord progression, but I'm kind of stuck. The fact that you can put your sample and put some prompts and saying, okay, I want something that sounds funky with a lot of bass and maybe with a R&B style, a sad song or like a happy song, or and then it gives you like you have several renditions with several possibilities. Then you can be like, okay, well, sometimes I use it, but I use it like I have to click like 10 times to get something that I really like.
Right.
Uh, and once you find something that you like, you're like, ooh, okay, I can use that. So you can use it like a sample because now you have the stems separation, which means that you can have from the track that the AI make, you can have the separation of the bass, the drums, the piano, the guitar, and all that. So you can pick like a few tracks, not everything, and be like, okay, I don't like the drums. I'm gonna make my own drums. Um, I like the bass. The bass line is cool. Um, the solo is nice too. Okay, I'm gonna keep that, but then I'm gonna start from that and create my own track with it. To me, Suno is nothing worse than Splice or Arcade, which are like sample banks.
Right. Yeah.
Um, because when you use sample banks, well, everybody does it. So it's a little bit cheating, but it's not really because everybody does it. Um, so you pick a piece like, oh, okay, I need some saxophone. So I'm gonna look for some saxophone sample, listen to the samples. I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna take that one. Well, with Suno, you can put your chord progression, say, okay, I want something that is funky with a bass and all that, and I want like a saxophone solo at the end.
Yeah.
And you got a saxophone solo that is usable. So to me, it's quite the same. So you use it, then you create your song, intro, verse, chorus, and you use only the elements that you want to. You reorder them because maybe you want your saxophone solo in the middle of the song or at the end, and you I was talking about that with Eli's lately, and I think that it's mostly like when you have like a recipe and you want to make a cake, but you can't make the flour.
Right. Yeah.
Floor. Sorry for my English, but you get it.
Yes.
And you can make the butter. You need butter for the cake, but you can make your butter by yourself. So you have all these pre-made ingredients that you use to make something at the end that's gonna be a cake, a beautiful cake, a tasty cake. So that to me, that's what AI is. It's just something that's gonna create pre-make stuff that you need. You still need to know where you're going, more or less, and ask the Suno to create the parts that you want to use.
Yeah. No.
And sometimes it's you don't get it for at the first rendition, so you have to click several times. So you're like, ah, no, I don't like that. Ah, no, I don't like that. So you still have the you make the choices. It's
y-
not AI that makes the choice. You make the choices because you're like, I don't like that part. I don't want that. I want that. Okay, that is good. Yeah, it's like Subway. You still can't make your sandwich, and you're like, no, I don't want corn. So yeah, that's how I see it.
Yeah, no, it makes sense, and I saw some interesting things online too, that made me think about this whole thing now that they're talking about with Timbaland having his first AI only generated artist, and he's starting a whole production company based around just AI music. And something that I saw online recently was pretty interesting to me. How they were talking about how you copyright music, and
Mm,
specifically with AI, that unless there is something that you put in there yourself, that AI music that's generated, like 100% generated, you can't copyright it. And that's something that I didn't know. And I
yeah.
thought that was kind of interesting. How would he get around that if that's the case? How are you gonna copyright that music? Does that mean that I could take a piece of whatever song he makes with these artists and add something to it that I wrote, and then I could copyright that song? I mean, it's kind of an interesting uh,
Yeah.
conundrum. I don't know
It,
if he's going to
yeah.
be putting in his like his own beats, or like how that music's generated, if it's just 100% through Suno, or however it is he's generating it, or if there's something that he's adding to it. Because that it was actually like a video from a music copyright lawyer who was explaining about just like the general terms of service of Suno, and then she had brought that up, and I thought that was kind of an interesting point. Like, how would that work?
Yeah, well, technology is always goes always faster than the laws. So there's
Yeah,
always like a at some point a part where it's a gray area and you don't know if you can do that or not. But more and more companies are trying to avoid AI. So I know that if you make strictly songs with Suno, you don't change anything. You get your rendition and you just upload it into Spotify or even SoundCloud, apparently. They flag you and they deny you the publishing.
mm, okay,
So yeah. I heard that. I never had the problem because the song that I made that I published on Spotify with a little bit of help of Suno. Most of the time I mix and master and I add some stuff and sometimes you even I mean like even like the guitar. Um Last time I was working on a track and I had like a fantastic guitar solo and some kind of layer of guitar underneath and all that, and but it was the same sound, the same type of guitar. It was like a nylon guitar.
okay.
And I pick a part of it and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna go rock and roll with that one. So I added some amp VST to make it with to have more grit and make it more like a rock and roll stuff. So you can even like modify the sounds, put some effects and you know really make the sample your own. Um, I don't see any problem if you work it like that. If you work the stems, the Suno stems like that, to me, it's you're still working from something that is like that exists already. You're not making you're not skinning a goat to make drums, but you know, you have like a pre-made kit and you still, you
Yeah,
still make the drums. So
yeah. No, you're definitely doing stuff like, you maybe even rearranging it, or what have you. And it's very similar in just in hip hop. because that's what a lot of people were saying when hip hop was first becoming like widely popular, is that they were saying that these people aren't musicians because of the fact that they're taking music that was already recorded and rearranging it and sampling it. And but I totally disagree. You know, it's like some of the people, even in like the producers corner where we met, you know, some of these guys take songs and it sounds like completely different, and it's something amazing, you know.
Yeah,
uh
yeah, yeah,
so it's
definitely.
it's interesting to see where this goes in the future, because just like you're saying, I see it as more of a tool than a hindrance, because again, you know, we're creative people, but we don't always have like an exact, you know, idea of where to go or what we're going to do. And so it
Yeah,
helps to have that kind of guidance sometimes.
yeah, it definitely helps. It's like also when you have that problem with the lack of inspiration. That's also good when you're like in a group, because when you're in a group and you submit something and you're like, okay, bro, can you help me because I have no idea where to go from that point. And someone comes with the idea, oh, you could do that, or you could do that, and then it's like some kind of brainstorming, and you come with fresh ideas from somebody else that can help you to create something. So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
it's the same thing. So
yeah, it's really interesting, the technology side of things.
yeah.
So I really appreciate your time, and doing this. I know it's late for you out in Paris. What time is it over there right now?
It's 10 and 10 p.m., 15 minutes.
Okay. So
Yeah.
give me what do you have to plug? I know you're doing some stuff with the obscure sample challenge. This is
Yeah, we have that I work with some guys. We have a Discord, and there's like a Twitch channel called Obscure Sample Flip. Um in one word. And it's some kind of like every Friday, not other Friday, every 2 weeks, we have this competition, and we come with someone give us a sample. It can be like a crazy sample. One day we had the sound of a Samsung washing machine. One day we had like some shower that was making noises. Sounds like it was haunted. Um, we had like a paper towel dispenser sound, and from crazy sounds like that, you have to make a beat and a track. Any
yeah.
type of genre. We have lots of drum and bass, hip hop, R&B, funk. Every genre is accepted. So if you're interested, or just to watch the Obscure Sample Flip on Twitch. I also have a channel on Twitch. It's DJ SupaUgly, because SupaUgly was taken already. So I said to myself, okay, I'm a DJ now. Um, uh, Sorry for the real DJs. Um, what else? What else? What else? And I have a SoundCloud. It's Super Ugly. You
Okay.
can you can find me on SoundCloud. That's mainly where I post all my stuff. And that's it. And I was really happy to participate to the second issue of that show. That's
Yeah.
gonna be international soon.
Well,
So
it
if
already
you
is.
if you watch it, you can say I was among the first to watch it. So yeah,
All
before
right.
it became popular. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, I appreciate your time. Thanks again, Super
no
Ugly, for
problem.
coming on the show.
I hope I didn't bother any people with my broken English, but I'll try my best.
No, it was great. So thanks again for watching the Glitch Mode Radio podcast, episode 2. If you like what you see, welcome to subscribe, like the videos, and take a look for more.